everybody, and welcome back to another review. Yeah, I'm in bright pink silky pajamas. I attended a friend's bachelorette party the other day because I'm going to be one of her bridesmaids come late June, and her mum and aunt who organized it got us all these matching pajamas, and I'm not gonna lie, these are like the most comfortable things in the world. I don't want to take them off. So today we're going to be talking about a book that I'm still even surprised I picked up. The book is Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and Samantha van Leer. As you can see, my bookmark is still randomly in it, and it like freakishly matches. That's probably why I left it in. Jodi Picoult, I think everybody knows for a bunch of different books, and then obviously Samantha van Leer is her daughter. So they co-wrote this, though I don't think they did any of the beautiful illustrations that are in here. Yeah, I'm gonna get into the construction of this book in a second. So I said this is a book I never thought I'd read, and it's very simple. I do not like Jodi Picoult's books. I know, I'm sorry, I know so many people love them, and I wanted to like them, but I read 3. I don't even remember the first 2 that I read, but I remember being just sort of like, by them. That was kind of all I thought about them. The third one I remember vividly, because the third one was My Sister's Keeper. I hate that book. I don't even think I can talk about that book, because my hatred is so visceral for that book. Oh, I hate that book. I hate the premise. I hate all of the characters. Maybe except for, the lead girl who sues her family. Of course, it doesn't even matter because the ending just made me so angry. I hate that book. Like, it is visceral hatred, fiery, burning passion hatred. So then you're probably thinking, Madeleine, if you hate Jodi Picoult so much, why did you buy this book? Because BookTube made me do it. And not just BookTube. It was actually really well-known booktuber, witty novels. She's totally hilarious. She cracks me up in like the best way. I love watching reviews. And it's because of her that I've decided I clearly need to read the Shatter Me series. I'd never even heard about it until she was just like all on about the Shatter Me series. And I'm going, okay, I need to know what this series is and I need to read it. Anywho, she showed off this book and started explaining the premise. And I'm not gonna lie, when she first showed it, she showed the book, I saw Jodi Picoult, my mind was already ready to go into autopilot until the next book cover showed up. And then she started explaining the premise, and I was like, color me intrigued. I like this idea. I love the idea of books within books and playing with the idea of fiction and, book world versus real world. One of my favorite books I recall reading was Inkheart by Cornelia Funke, and that plays with very much the same idea. Except the difference is this book gets a little more meta with the idea. For those of you who don't know, whenever someone says it makes something more meta is just a common prefix coming from the Greek, and it means you're talking about a concept from an abstraction from another concept that's used to complete or add to the latter. Yeah, it's really confusing. One of the big things you often hear about that with literary is obviously something called the metafiction, which is any form of fiction writing that deliberately draws attention to the fact that it's a book, that it's not real. It usually talks about the questions between fiction and reality. And this book pretty much does that in spades with its whole idea. So what's this book about? I'm sure you're now all wondering after I've just been babbling all this time. This story tells 3 stories, kind of. The girl here on the cover is named Delilah. She's in high school and she doesn't have too many friends to begin with. She's been on the side of social outcast, but she knows she will be sent to social Siberia if the rest of her high school realize. She's been reading the same book for weeks. And it's not like something like Dostoevsky or really artsy or anything. It's a book of fairy tales. Actually, one fairy tale. And it's about a prince named Oliver who has to beat an evil sorcerer whose name sounds like Rapscallion. The sorcerer's name is Rapscalio. So that's Delilah. And then something weird happens. She opens the book to a page with an illustration. It is page 43. We spend a lot of time on page 43. It is this illustration. Yeah, that's Oliver. So she opens page 43 and notices that the picture moves suddenly and carves the words, "Help me." Delilah freaks out. She thinks she's crazy. Well, she's not, because, and this is where we get story number 2. This is the story of Oliver. He is the prince of this fairy tale she reads. So he tells you how the book world exists in 2 ways. Whenever a reader opens the book and reads the story. It says, we behave like actors. We have to act out these roles. We almost don't even get a choice. We just have to continue on and tell the same damn story over and over again with no deviation. But the moment the book is closed, these characters all live their lives. I mean, he'll talk about how the evil pirate, as a side job, does dentistry and orthodontia. His faithful dog is quite a good chess player and speaks 3 languages. The queen makes amazing ginger cookies. And I'm just like, this is genius. This is total genius. But there's always the divide. People in the book can't make contact with the reader, and the reader has no idea what's going on because they keep up the illusion. Well, obviously, Oliver has just broken the rules majorly with Delilah. She is the first person to ever realize that something funky is going on with this book. And so Oliver enlists her to try and help him escape from this story because he's sick of telling the same tale over and over and over again. The third story that I mentioned is that we actually get to read the fairy tale in question that is being told. So you'll see things like this as page 37. So I mentioned colors and construction. I've shown you a couple of those beautiful full page color illustrations. Gorgeous. Those are in here a lot because, as I said, you get told 3 stories. When you're reading the fairy tale, as you see here at the beginning in the fancy O, that begins the once upon a time, your text is black. When you're reading Oliver, the print is a wee bit bigger and it's purple. And then when you read Delilah, it's a completely different font and it's green. The whole premise is so metafiction, but little stuff like that is really cool and it drew me in. It reminded me of S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst and the cleverness and the metafiction nature of that whole book. This was also just telling a really fun story. I honestly found myself more interested in Oliver and the fairy tale world than I was with Delilah in the real world, but I still really liked it. And I was surprised because, I mean, Jodi Picoult, I've said I don't like Jodi Picoult, but I have to wonder how much of this is her daughter. This is so not a Jodi Picoult book. It's like the anti-Jodi Picoult book. There's a voice in here that's definitely not Jodi Picoult, and it doesn't feel like her. And for me, that's to the book's benefit, because I can't stand Jodi Picoult. This book was just sweet. It is also just so pretty. You have these beautiful illustrations, the different fonts and the texts and everything, and by the end I was just like, That is all for me tonight, you guys, and so until next time, cheers.